Welcome to episode 80 of Central Intelligence Cinema. Today we are back with a one-of-a-kind brush-past review of the brand new Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. But first, let me just warn you that before you choose to accept this mission, I highly recommend you actually go see the movie, as this is a no-holds-barred review that is full of all the spoilers. That, my friends, is your final warning. But if you've seen the movie and you're ready to hear us talk about all the juicy details, then strap into the Entity Chamber and take it away, Pierce.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Elsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Do you expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from the newly commissioned and mostly functional undisclosed location, it's the Central Intelligence Cinema Podcast. I'm Jason Greenberg, and with me, as always, Ben Esslinger.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And welcome back to the CIC. Yes, indeed. From a brand new, mostly functional, undisclosed location. It might not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
Indeed.
But yeah, welcome back to the CIC, the spy movie podcast that has gone full analog today so as to avoid that pesky entity.
And pesky it is indeed.
Indeed, indeed. Boy, we've got a great one for you today. This is really exciting because while the undisclosed location may have moved hundreds or thousands of miles away, depending on who you ask, you are here with me.
I am indeed.
You have made the jump.
Well, it was necessary to unlock some specific security functions that require dual authorization.
Indeed, yes.
So, I just took the ride with the guy that flies the chopper we normally bring our visitors in with.
Yeah.
He brought me out here. Sven's doing all right, by the way.
Oh, good to know.
Asked if Marty's doing all right as well.
Right.
I
assume, though, that since you are, one of the two top men in the CIC, they did not drug you.
Well,
because you have the top secret clearance to get into the undisclosed location.
There may have been some drugging involved, but it had nothing to do with whether or not I knew where we were going. If you know what I mean. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But yes, this is quite the podcast episode. I'm super excited. I'm very thankful that you came all the way out here, Jason, to just so that we can finish the road to reckoning. Jason, can I play it? I want to play it.
You gotta play it.
I gotta play it. Let's play it.
Good evening, Mr. Hunt.
Are you sure your line is secure?
I got it. Oh man, do I get it.
Central Intelligence Cinema now has a secure line to the IMF.
Benji?
Join the IMF. See the world on a monitor. That was it.
Line's not long enough! No! Yeah!
That doesn't sound impossible.
Next time, I gotta seduce the rich guy.
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window!
Well, this is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible. Difficult should be a walk in the park for you.
Central Intelligence Cinema presents Road to Reckoning.
You can understand you're very upset. Kittredge, you've never seen me very upset.
Sir, Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny.
The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Yes.
That's right, buddy.
We are back on the road. The final stop. Unless we go back, of course, and review Dead Reckoning.
I mean,
which we probably will.
We technically, yeah.
But technically, we're at the end of the road.
We're not. We should be. I mean, there'll be much discussion coming forward.
Oh, yes.
But we didn't get quite as definitive of an end as we did in No Time to Die.
Indeed, for sure.
And that, folks, is your first introduction into the fact that this is going to be super spoiler-full discussion. We are not going to give you one of those mamby-pamby tap dance around the items, first impressions thing. We just watched the movie. We're coming in to talk to you exactly what we think about it. So if you haven't seen it, you probably want to stop right now.
Exactly. If you're trying not to learn anything about the movie before you see it, probably a good time to just turn this off and go see the movie, really, quite frankly. Go see the movie first before you listen to this.
Or if you don't give a flying fuck, listen to it, because we're entertaining as hell.
That's right.
And we're gonna be talking about some stuff.
Indeed. A lot of stuff. Because we are here to talk about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
The Final Reckoning.
Or as I'm also going to call it, Mission Impossible, All the MacGuffins.
Oh my goodness. And let me just say, for a movie that says The Final Reckoning, they said reckoning way more than once in this movie.
So much reckoning.
In fact, they said Final Reckoning twice.
Yeah.
So what was the final reckoning of Final Reckoning? Well, it comes in about the last 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Well, this kind of makes me think of like my industry, where, you get a rough cut, you get a fine cut, and you get a lot cut. And sometimes people refer to the files as final, but then somebody up top says, no, change this. And then the file name becomes final. And then somebody else says, no, wait, change this. And it's final.
And then it's really final. No, we really mean it this time.
Exactly. And this might have a little taste of that as well.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about the brand new, just released this weekend. We just got out of the theater at the IMAX, no less.
With our Entity popcorn bucket.
Entity popcorn bucket, I now have my very own cruciform key.
It's exactly. It'll have a place of honor in the newly established undisclosed location.
Indeed. So yeah, well, should we get into this sucker?
There's a lot to get into, so yeah, we probably should.
All right.
This can't all be true.
Every word.
Smart people on every side are close to panicking. What exactly is your plan? Everything you are, everything you've done, has come to this.
Our lives are the sum of our choices. If this was your calling, your destiny, I have no regrets. Neither should you.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Okay, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, the 8th and final chapter in the Mission Impossible franchise, released May 23rd, 2025, directed by one Mr. Christopher McQuarrie. If you don't know who this man is,
you're an idiot. And should not be listening to this podcast.
He also did Way of the Gun, Valkyrie, or he was a writer on Valkyrie. He directed the Tom Cruise version of Jack Reacher. He was a writer on Edge of Tomorrow, which is a fantastic movie if you haven't seen that. And he, of course, directed Mission Impossible Fallout and Dead Reckoning. So, and of course, produced by Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie. But really, if you think about this, don't you kind of almost want to give Tom Cruise a directorial credit, given the way that he steers these movies at this point?
Sure. I mean, Christopher McQuarrie is like his director, right?
Yeah.
And so there's got to be a lot more of a collaborative thing going on there.
Yeah.
Tom saying, here's my vision, go and make it work.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
although one hopes that Chris is like, no, that's stupid, man. We're not going to do that. My name's on the movie too.
Right.
And Tom's like, yeah, but my name is the one that people come to see, not you. And he's like, no, but there's a guy who keeps mistaking me for Ralph McQuarrie, and he loves that guy. So he's here to see it for that guy who he thinks is me.
Written by Eric Jendresen, who worked on Dead Reckoning. He worked on Band of Brothers and Killing Lincoln. He's actually done more TV almost than film. And then, of course, Christopher McQuarrie. And then, of course, Bruce Geller gets the complimentary writing credit as well, since he created the series.
Indeed.
Interesting thing about directing, especially with ever since McQuarrie has sort of taken the helm, them sort of trying to keep going with the whole idea where even though McQuarrie has continued to be director on the last three, he's trying to shoot it and direct it as if he's a slightly different director to sort of keep in time with the fact that the first four were all different directors.
Sure. Because
certainly Fallout looks much different than Dead Reckoning, and I would argue that Final Reckoning looks different than Dead Reckoning did. Certainly in framing some of the shots.
Yeah.
It's certainly closer to Dead Reckoning than it is Fallout, the way that it looks and feels.
Yeah, I wonder if that's more or less intentional to give it a multi-director feel and just Christopher McQuarrie getting better at directing and more comfortable in his boots.
It could be that too.
No.
I do feel like this movie feels very akin to the first one in the sense that it feels kind of pulpy.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's an awful lot of moments in here that feel really kind of pulpy and sort of harken back to the original.
Yeah, although without any of the subtlety and aplomb of Brian De Palma.
Right.
So you weren't getting that whole Hitchcockian feel with the whole thing, like you were stuck in the middle of a murder mystery that wrapped inside a spy thriller, put on the bow of an enigmatic ending kind of thing.
Right.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that Chris McQuarrie can direct an action movie, but I don't know if he's got enough layers in him to do an actual movie.
I will say though that what this does have a lot of, and maybe it's just the nature of the fact that everybody thinks this is the final movie, is there's a lot of emotion in it. Like I found myself, I mean, this could just be me, but I found myself getting verklempt.
Oh yeah.
A number of times in this movie.
Same here.
Like, I feel like those moments, those emotional moments landed more for me in this movie than Dead Reckoning did.
Because the stakes are different, though.
That's true. That much different and much more grave because they're personal.
Yeah. And I think because of the large amount of action that was in it, they really used those emotional moments to give you a place to breathe.
Yeah. Which is ironic because that it's almost like you're not breathing, because even though there's no action going on, there's these massive emotional moments where you're just like,
well, and the emotion takes over the exposition because they kill all the exposition you need for the stupid thing in the first 10 minutes.
This is true. And holy cow, yeah, the first 10 minutes of this movie is all exposition, quite frankly.
Indeed.
But we'll get to that.
We will get to that.
We'll get to that. Photography-wise, cinematographer was Fraser Taggart, who's known for Rogue One, Doctor Strange, Edge of Tomorrow, and Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. So no slouch there.
Nope.
I thought it looked absolutely fantastic.
It was so slick.
It was so good looking. Such a good looking movie. Like, from start to finish, every location, a lot of the night stuff looked fantastic.
Well, and when they were shooting the scenic stuff, it popped. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're filming a huge aerial stunt and you're as invested in what they're flying in as they are about what's being flown.
Yeah.
You know, that says something about that guy. Maybe knows a thing or two about what things are like behind a lens.
It was astounding. The angles and just everything about the photography, I thought, was one of the highlights for sure. Music wise, interesting. It's interesting. I'll just say that. Music was by Max Arouge, who worked on Top Gun Maverick, Lansky and Crawl, as well as Alfie Godfrey, who did Black Widow, also worked on Top Gun Maverick, and then The Wheel of Time. Both of these guys sort of worked under the tutelage of 14th Street Music, which is the juggernaut composing company that Lauren Balfe and Hans Zimmer co-own. So he's one of those guys' disciples, basically. So I guess it makes sense that Lauren Balfe kind of stepped aside and let his protege sort of take over. I'm not sure how I feel about the music on this. It works. I'm not sure if it's not standout-y to me, though.
It's perfectly adequate.
Yeah.
To use a phrase I use all the time when discussing music, that is perfectly adequate.
Indeed. I would also say that it's perfectly adequate. I would not see that it exceeds expectations, but it does not disappoint either.
No.
Because when I feel the things I'm supposed to feel, then I know the music is doing its job.
Exactly.
So we don't know the numbers yet, obviously. Normally, this is the part where I'd say, by the numbers, this movie did this. But it's opening weekend. But what we do know is that the budget of Final Reckoning ballooned due to the pandemic. And according to The Hollywood Reporter, was approaching, in air quotes, is approaching $400 million. So I'm guessing that's ballooning in terms of all the marketing and popcorn buckets.
Did they not film them back to back, though?
They tried to do that, but they did end up having to sort of break here and there.
Okay.
There are parts of Final Reckoning that were shot during the initial shoot for Dead Reckoning.
So some of that cost is spread out between the two movies.
Yeah. So it's all fuzzy as far as...
I feel like it's going to make its money back.
I definitely think it's going to make its money back.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
No.
Now, is it going to clock in at $1 billion?
We'll see. Time will tell.
I don't know. But... it's certainly going to get its money back and probably enough money to make another one if they wanted to.
Well, I mean, Tom Cruise is off to make his space movie now.
I'm totally waiting for that.
So we will see whether we ever get another Mission Impossible movie anytime soon.
They really haven't made their Moonraker yet. I'm just saying.
That would be something else. So... I tried to find like a general synopsis of this movie and really couldn't find one. The only thing on IMDb says, in my best Luther voice, "Our lives are the sum of our choices, Ethan." Tom Cruise is Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So we don't really
have the meats.
But honestly, that's what we're here for, is to try and give a sort of synopsis of this movie. Although, man, this thing is complicated. This is one complicated ass movie.
It's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. So many moving parts, especially given the first little bit. But let's refresh your memory if for some reason you don't remember these things from having watched this movie. We have Ethan Hunt, of course, played by Tom Cruise, who is now 62 and will be 63 in July. And my God, the fact that he did all that stuff at 62, it would be so impressive if we didn't already know that he has he's on version 25 of himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I mean, it's like in
he's a cyborg, and he's got multiple copies just waiting to be released.
It's like in Terminator Dark Fate. The Terminator skin continues to age, but the chassis underneath continues to function the same.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Infiltration units are like that.
And then of course we've got Grace, played by Haley Atwell. And honestly, I think, it's hard to... I'm not sure which performance I like better from her, either this one or Dead Reckoning. I would venture to say this one. I think she's given a little bit more to chew on, as opposed to in the first one, she's so surprised all the time and just sort of learning what she's doing.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, she's given a little bit more...
Well, she's kind of established already, right?
Yeah, she's now part of the team. She clearly got some training because she does some kick-ass fight moves in this.
Right. She learned apparently how to fly a plane.
Yeah, I mean, she's given a lot more agency to do a lot more things.
She can rewire a mainframe for a computer, So,
yeah.
but she was kind of floaty in the last one.
Yeah.
Like, you're obviously the heir apparent to replace Ilsa's character, but there was all the stuff about having to get through Ilsa's character first.
Right.
And so by the time she had any opportunity to get any kind of emotional gravitas, the movie was over.
Yeah.
Her best acting in 7 was the train stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And some of that for the character was being lifted by Vanessa Kirby as well.
Sure.
Because Just in case anybody didn't notice, that definitely was not Haley Atwell in a Vanessa Kirby outfit. I just look at the measurements, folks.
Yes.
But no, I think she really got to have an emotional arc in here where she was really just sort of one of the MacGuffins in the last one.
Right. Yeah. Whereas now she's a full-fledged character who does have an arc kind of in this movie where she goes from knowing what she's doing, but it's not until really the end that she has like confidence really about what she's doing. And we've got Gabriel back, played once again by Isai Morales. I think he does a great job. The problem is, I mean, we might as well get into it because,
he did a great job playing an enigmatic character in Dead Reckoning, and he has a great job of playing a basic Bond villain in this one.
He really did kind of turn into a basic Bond villain because once the entity decides it no longer has confidence in him, he's just sort of every other...
I want the power for myself!
Right, exactly. He's just sort of the laughing, maniacal villain.
Yeah, and...
Arguably, I would still say that what's-his-face, Sean, oh God, what's the actor's name? Who played...
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
First Knives. Yeah, that guy.
Part of the syndicate, syndicate leader.
Sorry, I can't remember your name because you're awesome. But
yeah.
No, he's definitely, between him and Philip Seymour Hoffman, they are definitely the villains of this franchise that people need to... They are the Christopher Walken / Javier Bardem of this entire franchise from that side. But you know what? He was fine. I mean, if you're going to play a maniacal Bond-type villain in a Mission Impossible movie, he did a fantastic job of it.
Yeah. I will say, too, that it helps that you get sort of a secondary villain in Henry Czerny.
Yeah, but he's just playing that character. Kittredge always is like, I'm a good guy, but I'm a bad guy, but I'm a good guy.
But Kittredge, in this movie in particular, is so misled that he doesn't realize how big of a villain he's being.
It's true.
Especially towards the end there when...
he gets played into it.
Yeah, where he thinks that he's doing the right thing and to take away what Ethan's trying to do.
Right.
Although what I do really like about him at the end is he knows Ethan so well at the end of this movie that he's like, why is he still here? Like the bomb is ticking outside the whatever that shelter is that the entity wants to take
they're like in a doomsday data storage facility, and they put a nuke in it Gabriel has put a nuke in it in order to make them have problems. I mean, that's literally all it's there for, is to delay things.
Right. And so Kittredge is there, and he's like, well, why is Ethan not doing anything? He's still here. So clearly there's part of, what is the plan?
Right.
Why are you here? What is your plan? Because your plan is not done yet. And it was a very smart part of the film, I thought. I thought that was a very smart moment. So, I mean, he does a good job as Kittredge. I mean, Henry Czerny's great.
Yeah. It's almost the role he was born to play.
Seriously.
Sort of like anal retentive government entity with an attitude.
Right. And then we've got Benji, of course, played by Simon Pegg once more. Maybe in the most heartbreaking version of himself I've ever, for all the reasons. I mean, I do. It's a bummer. I guess I'll always have Rogue Nation.
Dear.
I just loved the level of closeness that Benji and Ethan had in Rogue Nation, and nothing will probably meet that level for me, even though they clearly just still have this great chemistry and it's it's been built up just in the canon that they are like inseparable.
Benji comes running when Ethan needs him and vice versa.
Right, exactly. And so I thought he was fantastic in it. Just Simon Pegg's gonna Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
Then we got Ving Rhames playing Luther. Rest in peace, Luther Stickle. Again, really good performance from Ving. I mean, not much different, really. Well, a little different because he's dying.
Yeah, and he's. I mean, when we find him, he's in a. Okay,
it's the weirdest.
So anybody who's watched Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve will no doubt remember that Lex Luthor's hidden lair was underneath a train station. And so apparently is Luther Stickles' underground lair.
Yes.
Where we find Luther apparently, I'm guessing cancer. They don't really spell it out.
No.
But he's in this area where he's hacking, and then there's medical equipment.
Right.
And he's in scrubs and and he's looking pretty haggard for Luther, who's usually,
very smooth.
Going crazy about the sharp-dressed man.
Unshaven.
Yeah. So you're like, oh dear, Luther's dying one way or the other here, apparently.
Yeah.
And he gets his heroic way at the end, which is great. There's a huge moment between his character and Ethan.
Right. And then, of course, he gets his last words afterwards.
Which were, of course, we have the meats.
Again, I got kind of verklempt over that one.
It was a genuine moment of emotion that slowed down everything else that was going on.
Yeah, and it worked.
It did.
And then we've got Rolf Saxon to come back 29 years later and play William Dunlow. And honestly, what a great performance.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, and I loved the character that he became, and it was perfect for the story because now, he doesn't hold any grudges. In fact, he's happy that he was sent away because he discovered himself. He found the love of his life while he's out there in the Arctic in the middle of nowhere. Kind of great. And it also served as this vehicle to reassure Ethan that all the things that he's doing are for good, because throughout this entire movie, people keep trying to tell Ethan that everything he's doing is a problem.
Right. He's responsible for they're blaming him for being responsible for everything that
horrible
that is to the entity. Right. He created the entity by everything he did in every movie before it.
Yes.
Right. With some fairly dubious ties to some things. Like, for those of you out there that aren't a real fan of the whole retro-conning of the Daniel Craig era, I know one of them at least has to appreciate a little bit of the shoehorning that was going on here to establish this whole let's make Ethan feel guilty about being Ethan.
Right. I will say that the bombing of the Kremlin was a little dumb.
Yeah.
Because I just went back and watched these movies, and in Ghost Protocol, it's clearly the bad guy who sets off the bomb. So are you trying to tell me that Kittredge told a Russian nuclear radical to set off a bomb in the Kremlin? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It didn't make any sense to me.
That one doesn't make any sense at all. Like, The thing about the rabbit's foot, that makes a little bit more sense because you never
see that's in the MacGuffin, right?
Exactly. And so you can make it anything you want it to be.
Right. You intimate because it says biohazard and it's got all the symbols that it's biohazardous. And I guess theoretically, considering what it had in it, it was a hazard to bio stuff in the more generic interpretation of that.
Right. And it's kind of funny, too, that they somehow blamed Ethan for getting the rabbit's foot back. He turned it into the CIA at the end of the movie.
Right.
So,
but they're like, you didn't check.
Is it just because I don't quite follow that logic either, because yes, he got it because it was the only way to save Julia.
Yeah.
But he also got the rabbit's foot back for the CIA. So I don't remember, did they give a reason why it was somehow his fault?
So I think...
Was it just the existence of the rabbit's foot?
So the rabbit's foot was some sort of a baseline computer program that was used for the CIA to create the spy program that they put into the submarine with the stealth program that merged together to become the entity.
So they're somehow blaming Ethan for returning this thing to the CIA then?
Correct. Well, it's not even that. They're saying you saved it, but you didn't bother to look at what it was that you were saving. And because you didn't take the steps to figure out what you were doing, you gave the CIA the opportunity to create this thing that they then created to do something else, and then became this thing that's trying to kill everybody on the planet.
If that's some blame game shit there.
Yeah. Well, and because he's all about, I have the world on my shoulders and I don't want my friends to die and all the things. That's all you have to do is just basically make him feel like it.
Right.
In an attempt to try and cripple him mentally.
Yeah. So that's weird.
I mean, there is a lot of muscle and fiber tissue that was sacrificed to get you from the first Mission Impossible to the last Mission Impossible. And it's some sort of a coherent storyline.
I will say this. I feel like at least more effort was given to tie these things together than perhaps the Bond franchise and Spectre.
Yeah, and of course, I could always argue that they didn't need to put that much effort into it because I felt it flowed more naturally than some other people do.
Oh, okay.
But I guess it feels like the laziest bit of writing in this movie. That they couldn't come up with a better thing than just, let's make Ethan feel responsible for every bad thing that's ever happened. Is it a homage to bring in a bunch of scenes from other movies? Well, they did do that.
Yeah. I mean, this is to a fairly big degree a vehicle for celebrating the other movies.
Yeah, it's about celebrating the franchise for sure. But, you know,
there's a lot of nostalgia going on.
Yeah.
I mean, the first 10 minutes is just one big nostalgia machine.
It's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of Tom Cruise haircuts, and a lot of running. So much running.
All the running.
All the running.
Moving down the list here, even though we're going off on tangents, of course, we've got Pom Klementieff back as Paris. Just awesome. Just super awesome. I mean, she does what she does.
All French, all day long.
All French, all the time. I kind of like that, actually, that they kept her speaking French.
Yes. And they use the good subtitles, which were like off to the side, not at the bottom.
Right.
And granted, her dialogue was pretty minimal, but the character was a pretty minimal speaker anyway, so it made sense.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this is what made me laugh the most. You got Tom and you got Simon all like oui, poo poo, but nobody else speaks French.
Nobody else speaks French.
Grace is English. She probably knows some French.
Right?
She's from Europe, right?
They have good schools there.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't know, but it was just funny that nobody else could speak French but the three of them.
Yeah. I will say that towards the end of the movie, even though she, again, doesn't have a lot of speaking lines, emotionally, just using facial expressions, especially when she's trying to keep Simon alive.
Yep.
Great physical acting.
Yes.
Going on there.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who doesn't think that Pom Klementieff can act is an idiot.
Yeah. We've got Shea Wiggum back as Jasper Briggs, a.k.a.
Dun, dun, dun.
the son of
Jim Phelps.
Jim Phelps Jr.
That's right.
Wow.
Mr. John Voight himself.
Yeah.
Does that make him Angelina Jolie's brother then?
Yeah. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But he plays an interesting role in this. I'm glad that they gave him something to chew on. Something to like get a little deeper into him. Because he's no longer just one note because of that. Like, yeah,
but I'm like, were they like, and there's like, we got to give Briggs a little something more, you know?
Right.
Why does he hate Ethan so much? And
like, he can't just be this guy that snarls and goes, I got to get my guy. Because
although, let's be honest, if there's an actor out there in the Hollywood sphere or wherever else that can create and maintain a stink face as well and effectively as Shea Wiggum, I would be very surprised.
This is
he literally just walks around looking like somebody farted through the whole movie. And he knows it with
truly.
Ethan Hunt.
Yeah. And we've got Degas, played by Greg Tarzan Davis. Not really, they didn't give him a whole lot to do.
Well, he had more to do than he did in Dead Reckoning, though.
True. I mean, especially at the front end when they're trying to convince him, like, hey, we're when they're freeing.
Yeah, they're freeing Paris, and
he's sort of in this situation where he's like, I don't know who to trust, and meanwhile Paris is holding a gun at him, and Tom's like trying to get both of them to lower their guns and everything else. But he's still just not a lot that he could really even do with his character.
He's basically Jeremy Renner's character in this little quorum.
But even more reduced, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got Angela Bassett as now President Erica Sloane.
Yep, and there was a little Easter egg for that in Dead Reckoning.
Yes. I thought she did a good job. I mean, she was presidential and stuff. I kind of liked that they, much like what they did with Shea Wiggum's character, they gave her a personal stake in everything.
Yeah.
And her being worried about her son who's in the military and all these things. And did you even contact your son? And that whole thing, like, that was kind of a nice touch. And I feel like they did a lot of those very intentional things to keep all these characters from being one note.
Yeah, just being a little more grounded and having some stakes in every decision that they made.
Yeah. And then we've got Nick Offerman as Sydney, who let's face it, he's there for one reason, and that is
to be Nick Offerman.
Is to be Nick Offerman is to kill the one guy who loses his nerve and tries to take out the president at the last second.
But while acting as a decoy of being the person that you think is going to take out the president.
Exactly.
So they're little bait and switch.
Little bait and switch.
And I will tell you, Ben's right. Everybody had kind of like this little sacrificial line that they had to go through. And, you know, clearly his was that he had to sacrifice his mustache in order to play the role. And that was maybe the biggest sacrifice of all in the entire movie, if you ask me.
I mean, that's given his mustache.
Yeah.
Because his mustache is of great...
I mean, it's right up there on the pantheon of Tom Selleck,
exactly,
Burt Reynolds, Sam Elliott, and then you've got your Nick Offerman. So anybody who goes to see this movie, when you see him with that bare lip, you need to know what that man sacrificed for your joy and entertainment. Okay.
So, and then we've got Hannah Waddingham in a. Yes.
I said this after the movie was over, and I will say it again. And if I get slapped on the wrist by anyone at all, I don't care. I stand by it. I have never seen anyone that looked that amazing in a United States Navy flight suit in my entire life. I said it.
It's rather breathtaking, I must.
There I said it.
And not bad for an American accent.
She had a pretty good American accent. I love the fact that she's a 2-star admiral in command of an aircraft carrier group and on an actual aircraft carrier. Because when you're Tom Cruise and you pick up the telephone, the Navy goes, okay.
Yeah, we'll do that for you because you did wonders for us in the 80s.
Do you need real pictures of subs, Mr. Cruise? There might be some security stuff we need to go through, but I think we can do this. No. We're going to use CGI subs. Don't worry about it. Okay, because we're there for you. Right? But how funny must it be for Tom Cruise to go on an aircraft carrier? And,
every time he gets on an aircraft carrier, everybody's like saluting him and just thinks he's just the bee's knees.
Here's the thing, though. He's getting on there going, okay, so we're going to the CIC. All right, that's this way. And then he just leaves the people that are following with him, walks up the correct set of stairs to get where he needs to go.
Because he already knows where it is. He already knows
where everything is. He memorized it like in 86, and he's never forgotten, right? So, yeah. I will say I am a little saddened that Hannah Waddingham didn't have a bigger role.
Yeah. Because she
really
can choose
amounted
scenery.
To a cameo.
Yeah.
And it was an important character that she played to further the movie along. But I just feel like, why do you get somebody that caliber? And then she literally had 5 minutes of screen time total?
Yeah. But there were a lot of great actors in this movie that only got little bit roles.
That's true. That's very, very true. And I like me some Trammell Tillman for sure, but I kind of wish he'd been the admiral and Hannah Waddingham had been the commander of the submarine. Right. However, I will say in all honesty, she's too tall to command a submarine, so that probably would not have worked out so great.
Yeah, and he's so good.
he really
Captain
was
Bledsoe. Like, good God, like it's just the smirk. He's like, I wish I would have remembered that honestly. That line that he says,
if you're looking for someone who wants to poke the bear, you're on the right ship.
Fantastic those little performances like that.
Yeah, even the SEALs that were aboard the ship.
Yeah.
The 3 actors that got to play the SEALs, the one actress that she was in.
Oh yeah, wasn't she in one of the Star Wars?
Yeah, she was in. She was a Mandalorian. Played, I can't remember her name.
Katie O'Brien.
Katie O'Brien, that's correct. Yeah, she was one of the Navy divers. I'm assuming
her name was Kodiak in this movie.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. But she was fantastic.
Yeah.
She's like, bring my suit back.
Yeah. Well, because she had all of her scenes were directly with Tom Cruise in them.
Right.
And so she held her own in the presence of the Tom.
She really did.
Yeah.
It just, again, like, everybody got a moment to really actually shine. And that's not common. I mean,
no, there were some small roles, but none of the people that were acting in them were small actors. So.
No, not even the actress that played Don Lowe's wife. the Inuit.
The Inuit actress, yeah.
She was fantastic too, just with her, just physical acting and speaking in her native language, probably. Just fantastic across the board. But should we get into a general discussion?
Maybe we should just start with the cold open and kind of see where things go.
Okay. So yeah, we get this cold open, and I'm trying to remember how it even starts.
Yeah, because it's a bit of a flurry.
Yeah.
Well, we start off with
That's what it is. It starts with the tape, doesn't it? Does it start with the
cassette tape?
The cassette tape?
Okay, yes.
So basically So we basically start with this VHS cassette tape being put in a combination
Daewoo combo TV VCR player thingy.
Ah, the good old days.
I think I had one myself.
Makes me think of school, actually.
Right?
So we had a combo VCR TV thing, and Ethan puts the tape in, and he gets his mission. But it's not your normal mission. It's it's basically a plea from the president. Voiced in Angela Bassett.
Right.
Asking him to bring himself in, to turn himself in, because they need the cruciform key.
Right.
And they need all of the information that he knows about what the key does and how they can stop the entity, because she then goes on to explain how at this point the entity has become this gigantic thing it's now taking control of several major countries' nuclear arsenal.
And it's continuing to pick through into the major ones now.
Right. And on top of that, it's sort of ferreted its way into media, and nobody can trust anything. And it's gotten so bad that there's now this cult that is basically rooting for the entity to win and destroy everything. Meanwhile, everyone else is worried because once it has control of all of the nuclear missiles in the world, it wants to destroy the world and start over again.
And inexplicably, they know it's going to take exactly 4 days to do that, to the last second.
Which they never explain.
And
that I can remember.
I mean, we were talking about the whatever moments. That was whatever moment number one right there.
Right.
But they're also talking about how, and one of the other 2 months, this all happens.
Yes.
So we're 2 months ahead from Dead Reckoning. All of these things have happened. Everybody's under martial law. This cult is formed.
That's right. The martial law thing has happened.
Right.
And so there's all these anti-martial law protests going on.
Right. And basically, Angela Bassett's making a plea to Ethan. She's like, here's what the problem is. If we don't get control of the entity, we can't stop it. And if we don't stop it, the entity is going to destroy the planet. But then the other thing was that if they destroy the entity was going to destroy the planet. I mean, there's like all of these, no matter what happens, the entity wins, period.
Right. And then there's all this sort of paranoia about whether one country or another is going to just preemptively strike against somebody else because they're trying to protect their own.
Yeah, that was that. I'm sorry. That's what the other thing was. It was either if it gains control of all of the nuclear weapons, it's going to launch the nuclear weapons. But if it loses, it's still the possibility that the other ones are going to launch against the other ones preemptively before they get to that point.
Right.
So if something doesn't resolve itself in exactly 4 days, 6 hours, and 32 minutes or whatever the clock started
And again, where they got that from.
Right down to the minute.
But, nothing adds tension like a countdown. And boy,
countdowns.
Boy, Mission Impossible loves itself a countdown, don't they?
There were a number of them in this movie, in fact.
A number of them.
2 bombs.
Quite a few.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
Yeah. So, we find all this out. And I think that's when we get that big montage, too, of all the things that Ethan's done over the past, what is it, 30, 20?
Almost, 28 years, something like that.
Something like that.
And we're seeing stuff from 1, 2, 3. Then we go through all these things. Here's all of the people that were in charge of the IMF. And, here's me almost falling on the floor while I'm floating above the black site and knives and things.
Right, and Ilsa dying.
Dying. Everybody dying. So many people dying. And it's like
Emilio Estevez dying.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's in this. I forgot. He literally died 10 minutes in.
Right.
right? But he was in Mission Impossible. He was Benji.
He was Benji before Benji was Benji.
Yeah, so that was a nice little trip down memory lane that, to me, just felt like, in case nobody's ever watched the last 7 movies,
seriously,
let's explain to you how we got here.
That's really all that was.
It's 100% what it was, because it didn't really serve to illustrate what was being explained.
Right, and it took you out to a point where you didn't even realize that you were still watching a cold open happening.
Well, yeah, because you get through all this stuff. They go break out Paris with the masks. You got some masks in, which is nice.
Immediately. Yeah,
they're walking.
That was the fastest, by the way. That's the fastest I've ever seen an IMF agent rip a mask off.
Yeah, those masks came off quick.
Yeah,
she's in a high security prison in Germany. You got Jasper Briggs and you've got Degas in there in front of 4 other German security guards.
But it turns out that the 2 security guards in the back are actually Benji and Ethan in their masks. And then things kind of go awry because Palm Clementine's in handcuffs, but she's like, I'm trying to get out of here. So she's hi-yahing and she doesn't care who she's hurting.
No, at this point, because she doesn't know. And then Ethan pops up. She's like, oh, here's a flashback to when he saved me. You're going to betray us because he saved you.
That felt very TV.
It really did.
To do a flashback right there to remind the audience, like, hey, this is why you're supposed to like Ethan, right? Palm or Paris.
I swear to God, it's literally for anybody who's not watched the movie.
Yeah,
because this marketing blitz has been so hard. They're trying to bring in anybody. They got to recoup that budget, man.
Seriously.
So anyway. Tom talks everybody off the ledge because he's Tom Cruise.
He's very charismatic.
And in the middle of it, manages to recruit Degas into
suddenly,
the IMF.
Suddenly he's part of it. Well, he was kind of on the fence about it in the last movie anyway.
He was
kind of thinking, like, maybe this is for me now.
Yeah. So, and then they get Paris because she knows where Gabriel is, inexplicably.
Of course.
And
even though she's been in a prison and been hanging out with the IMF.
Right. So we go to his lair, and that's what gets this whole thing going. Ethan puts on the mask. And,
of the entity mask.
Yeah, the entity tells him all the things.
In there.
And he comes out, and he's got, I have a plan. And
and it's so weird, like all the scattershot talking and scribbling stuff down, and this is one of those things where I'm gonna have to go back and watch this movie like 5 or 6 times to absorb it all.
There's layers. Oh, and by the way, what we didn't say also being established is because the cold open had to have been 20 minutes long.
At least.
While they're talking with Luther's working on this device that will kill the entity permanently.
Yes.
But it has to be attached. So in order to kill it, because it gets more complicated than this, kids.
Oh, yeah.
The device that made the submarine stealthy has the source code for what the entity eventually became.
Right.
So they have to get this box, which was called the Pachinko or something. I don't know what it was called. But the Pasca, the Ponaki, the Pasta Fazul. Anyway, it looks like a big cell phone. And he makes a device that
kind of looks like a hard drive.
It does look like which is probably all it is. But this device that he has that he called the
poison pill?
Poison pill. If it attaches into it, it will go in and it will destroy the entity. Yeah. And so it's important to point that out because we're going to talk about it later, and we need to establish that it came from Luther, who not only has the meats, but is clearly, later on, you find out, maybe the greatest computer programmer in the universe.
In the history of the world.
Of ever. And so that was his contribution to it. And then, the heartfelt goodbye at the end and stuff. But anyway, so they're going to try to get Gabriel to find out whatever else they need to find out. And we go through all these clickety-clacks and whatever. He gets away because nobody shoots anybody in these damn movies.
Nobody shoots anybody.
Palm Clementine had teeth.
Paris is the only character that shoots everything.
And didn't shoot him. She had him dead to rights. Could have shot him in the damn leg. Oh, because running away.
Because Ethan tried to stop her.
Yes.
Because they need him for something. And I don't even know at that stage in the movie what they even needed him for.
They were just trying to track him because he had the most information about things.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But all these guns, somebody doesn't shoot the guy in the kneecap, he's not going to die.
Right.
And he can't run then. Wait till you guys hear about my final summation about this movie. It's just that simple. But anyway, so then we get to the bump, 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 bump. Yeah. And then they play the same thing. Here's what's happening in the movie.
Yeah, similar title sequence where you see all the things that are going to happen in the movie, but out of order, and so you just kind of flashing past your eyes and
very fast.
Very fast. It's very similar to like the Fallout one, or because I think I remember when I watched Fallout, I felt like that one was cut too fast.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
That one and Rogue Nation, they both had really fast title sequences. This is going to sound really nitpicky, and I know that you're not a fan of people who talk about fonts. I felt like the font was weird on the titling.
Really? It's the one they've been using like for every movie.
It seemed just a little different. I don't know.
Are you going to check the kerning on that? Make sure that everything lines up and the spaces are in there? Fuck you, font nerd. Good Lord. This is our final reckoning. This is where the two of us just argue ourselves right off the internet.
So after all the titles are over, I don't even remember what happens.
You have to understand, this movie never stops.
It moves so fast. There are so many hard cuts to different locations where it's like there is like sometimes in many occasions, one thing happens and you're on to the next thing. It's almost impossible to talk about without like...
Really. What happens after the credits, Ethan basically gives himself up.
Yeah.
He gets taken back to some 60s analog war rooms kind of thing in Virginia, of all places, West Virginia, of all places.
Right.
And you've got your Kittredge there. You've got your Nick Offerman sans mustache there.
Angela Bassett.
You got Angela Bassett eventually. But so two of the guys that were in Dead Reckoning that got gassed when Ethan was in there are in there.
Right.
You got the Secretary of Defense.
I do love that the Situation Room is fully analog in the sense that there are all these giant maps.
Yeah.
These giant table maps.
Yeah, but they're pushing flighters across like a World War II movie.
Right, exactly. And it's exactly like that.
All of the boards on there look like the destination arrival boards from airports in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
All the phones have cords and they ring.
Right.
Even the DEFCON board is just a box with lights. So somebody went through the effort of making this look like it was an old school thing that they were in.
And I should mention, obviously, if you're listening to this and you just recently saw the movie, there's a lot that happens before we get to the Situation Room, like after he turns himself in. But the problem is it all happens so fast that we are literally not capable of remembering every last thing that happened.
So the good news is you're probably still going to have some surprises, even if you listen to this first.
That's right.
But
the other thing that is telling, though, about the fact that we can't remember those things, that's where the weakness of this movie is, in my opinion.
Well,
because there's so much shit going on, so many moving parts. Without watching it 100 times, you're never going to remember all those things that go on.
You won't. If you're lucky, if you can remember the basic narrative to get you to where you're at.
Right.
And I mean, you could sum it up like this. I mean, Ethan gets caught on purpose, goes to talk to the president, who I'm assuming he knew was going to be there. He implores her, let me be me, or we're all going to die.
And that's after Luther already passes.
Yeah, because there's a scene down where there's a bomb. Yeah, I forgot all about that too.
Yeah, that's already after.
Oh my goodness.
That's after Gabriel kills Luther, essentially, locks him in there with a bomb.
Locks him in the Gates of Doom area over there with a bomb that only Luther can defuse. It's a nuke.
And the only way to defuse it is to still let some part of it go off that will crumble the tunnel system that's under this train station or whatever.
Right. And of course, there's tools there that Ethan could get him out to make Ethan feel bad that Ethan has to leave him there, even though he could save him.
Because there's no time.
There's no time.
And that's another thing that they play that up throughout the movie.
They really do. The whole thing is
because even Gabriel is like, he like almost gets off on saying it at the end of the movie where he's like, there's no time
to die, fucker. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, there are clocks everywhere in this thing.
Yeah.
There are timers running down everywhere in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this Chris McQuarrie just timing his entire career going down now that he's done? I don't know. It's not going to be Tom's, but everything about this just feels like it's all pushing you to the end, but there's so much to get there.
It takes so much to get there because, yeah, he turns himself in and then he basically refuses to tell them anything other than, you need to trust me.
Right. Right, exactly.
And at this point, the American government is so desperate for a way to fix all this that essentially Angela Bassett just decides...
Gives him a blank check and an aircraft carrier.
And a one-way ticket to go see Hannah Waddingham
in the most fabulous-looking flight suit I've ever seen in my life. But, and while we can't forget is while he's getting captured, he sent everybody else, Benji, Grace, Degas, everybody out to go to the one place on the planet that... Or he said, well, no, he sends them to the Arctic.
Yes.
Because they've extrapolated where that most likely the sub sank.
Right.
So they discuss, and he writes in his little notebook that he has SOSUS, which was the old. I'm sure it's probably still pretty current, but it's a bunch of sonar stuff that's strewn across all the ocean floors that the U.S. operated as part of their submarine and underwater monitoring stuff for the military. And so he says you need to go to the SOSUS station that would have had the data from when this thing went down in 2012 so we can pinpoint the location. So he sends all of them to the Arctic.
Yes.
Little island.
To find this location, to pinpoint this location.
And then broadcast it while he does whatever his magic tricks are.
And they do the clever thing of giving you the exposition by cross-cutting between him talking with the president and Benji explaining it to the rest of the team.
There was entirely too much of that combo dialogue where we're all saying the same thing but in different rooms.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that. It is my... Other than lists...
Honestly, I really like that part.
No. No. Because it's fine in certain... When you're trying to build tension, it's fine.
Right.
There was no stop of tension in this movie. It needed more places to rest.
I would agree with you there because you're either so built up with tension or you're ready to cry because somebody's dying or on the verge of dying or... There's some sort of sentimental moment that makes you well up or whatever.
Right.
There's no moment where it's just chill.
Yeah.
I can only think of one, and it only lasts for about 10 seconds. And it's when the president is at her house and she sits in a chair, and that's 10 seconds.
Right.
And then we're back and running.
But
because then you're about ready to get, all verklempt again because she's talking about her son or whatever and everything else.
But this whole double over thing, fights couldn't be by themselves. Exposition couldn't be by itself.
That's true, because there were double fights going on.
Yes. So it's like, give me a break. It's okay.
What I will say about this, though, about that dynamic, about having the double talk and then the double fighting, is it makes me think about the fact that in this movie, the team is really capable in this movie.
Yes.
In fact, I would go so far as to say that this is the most capable I've seen the rest of the team be in all of Mission Impossible. Normally it's just Ethan and then everybody else just kind of does things here and there.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else plays a really important role in this one.
They do. And I have a problem sort of, not at the end. Benji, they really continue to let Benji be Benji. And I felt like this was the opportunity for Benji to embrace being the guy. Because Ethan hands that torch. You got this is your team now. You got to run this shit.
Right. It would have been
still Benji's his way into everything. And I hated that.
Yeah.
When they get into the Arctic thing and he Benji's his way up because he nerds over seeing Donlo and Donlo's a legend for computer nerds.
Right.
And he blows the whole thing. And hilarity ensues fine.
Right. It would have been nice to have him sort of puff himself up a little bit and actually take charge of the team. And because he's been doing this for decades now, let him take charge. Let him sort of, and he kind of takes charge in a Benji sort of way, but not very satisfying as far as what you're talking about.
Yeah, I just wanted to see that sort of elevation of Benji to a level of competence.
Yeah.
That puts him at where Luther was at. It puts him.
I would say he's at a Luther level.
But
I would say he's at
maybe
a
a competency level, but Luther doesn't make dodo mistakes by fangirling over some computer program that disappeared 30 years ago.
Right.
Okay, so it's a Benji. He pulls a Benji. And then at the end of it, when he's got a metal tube in his chest, he's a Benji.
Well, yeah.
Because he's passing out and coming back and I was in the thing.
Well, they did that because that he can do, he's, as an actor, Simon Pegg is capable of being that funny guy that can do those things.
And he's kind of the comedy relief. And I know he knows his role, and I'm sure he's not offended by the fact that he has to continue to play that role because the paychecks are great too, right?
Yeah.
But like, I think about
and he gets Tom Cruise cakes every year for his birthday
probably, till he dies.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Tom will be like, no, everybody gets these cakes even after I'm dead. But I mean, I always think back to Simon Pegg in Hot Fuzz.
Okay. Yeah.
When he was playing the Tom Cruise guy.
Yeah.
And he does it. It's funny because it's him doing it.
Yeah.
But he does it really well.
Yeah.
You know,
so he is capable of taking on that more, I hate to use the word alpha, just leadership role.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I would have been okay with him just being Benji, but not being dopey blowing it for a stupid thing, Benji.
Right.
And I feel like we saw some of that in 7, and I was kind of hoping we were going to carry that along into this one. But,
yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It was a Mission Impossible movie, and I guess, without a Mission Impossible movie, without a goofy Benji, it's not really a Mission Impossible.
This is true. So we get this cross-cut exposition about how Ethan's idea for how to stop the entity. And bear with me, kids, because this is a hard one to explain.
Absolutely, buckle up.
So Ethan, his idea is to get on an aircraft carrier, which will then take him to a submarine, which will then take him nearby where the
Sevastopol crashed.
Where the Sevastopol crashed, and then from there. He's going to rely on the rest of his team who are in the Arctic at the SOSOS?
At the SOSUS relay station.
The SOSUS relay station, hoping that they're going to find the coordinates that he can then dive to from the submarine. And he's going to go through this whole thing of decompression and compression and all that felt so mumbo jumbo-y to me. Like
I'm going to jump into the Atlantic Ocean, not knowing that these suits existed on board the ship, I'm assuming at that point, because they were like, hey, here's the newest, biggest thing. Remember the Abyss? Well, you don't have to breathe fluid in this one. But Ed Harris says, A-OK. But his whole plan was to somehow get to where this thing is, several thousand meters below in the ocean, and then come up so fast that he's going to get the bends, but they got a portable hyperbaric chamber ready to go on that dog sled.
To allow him to
recompress properly and not die. And
then on top of that, they're like, well, how do you know if he's even going to have enough air? And Benji's like, well, you don't. He's probably he's probably going to drown, but because it's cold, it's going to slow down his metabolism.
Hypothermia.
And hypothermia will slow down his metabolism, and it'll be easier to revive him.
Right. And so in the world of whatever, that's big whatever number 2 there.
And that's just to get the source code for...
Correct. We have not even gotten to the crux of the actual plan yet.
Right.
We're still putting the pieces in play at this point.
Yeah. We haven't even gotten to this crazy 8 gazillion terabyte drive or whatever that we find out about later.
Oh, yeah. That looks suspiciously like a nightlight with etching on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know about that, considering it lights up at the end.
Right.
But yes. So I mean, here's what Ethan's plan basically amounts to. Once all of the improbable, or shall we say, impossible things happen, they're going to try and store the entity into a separate drive without the entity knowing that it's stuck in the drive.
Exactly. Like the Ghostbusters are taking a
Absolutely.
ghost and
Lights green, traps clean.
That's right. And it's this tiny little thing that, like you said, kind of looks like a fancy nightlight.
Yeah.
But apparently it holds 8 gazillion terabytes or...
it was something like 800 tetrabytes or, I mean...
Yeah.
It's numbers that I've heard of theoretically,
and of course...
this little nightlight has enough of it.
And just to make you verklempt, Luther designed it.
Right, of course.
So the idea is that the entity is going to protect itself by going to this giant underground...
This doomsday thing.
Yeah, this doomsday thing, once it has control of all the nukes...
Right.
And once it's inside of there, it's going to launch all the nukes. And so their idea is to catch it there. And it's so
yeah. Okay. So let me try to explain And we'll see if we can get it between the two of us.
Yes.
All right. So the basic mission is this. Tom knows that Gabriel wants the entity for himself.
Yes.
The only way that he can get the entity for himself is if he gets the polka disco thingy from the Sevastopol, right?
Yes.
He needs the source code to get into the entity once the entity is in the Doomsday area, so that he can use it to rewrite the code to take control of the entity.
Right.
So that's that.
Doesn't he want the poison pill?
He wants the poison pill because the poison pill can destroy the entity.
I think what the hinge is that he doesn't know that the poison pill is meant to destroy it. I don't know. See, that's part of this whole movie. Yeah. How complicated this movie is. But
anyway, what it all really amounts to is that, once again, Ethan has to give all the shit to the bad guys in order for his plan to work. Okay?
Totally.
That's all it really amounts to.
It's just like Ghost Protocol. Got to give him the nuclear code so he can follow the bad guy to the next thing.
Exactly. We're going to go ahead and give him the rabbit's foot.
Right.
All of that nonsense. Gabriel needs to have the stealth module and the poison pill for whatever the reasons are. We'll figure out after we watch it again.
Right.
So he can gain control of the entity. But Ethan needed the poison pill thingy to initially destroy the entity, but realized that if they could capture the entity for whatever reason I don't remember, it would be better. And so, but the key is they need Gabriel to go try and do his shenanigans in order for their shenanigans to work. And,
oh my God.
By the way, the transfer of time for the entity to transfer itself into the Doomsday device and then get captured by the nightlight.
Yeah.
It has to be pulled within 100 milliseconds before it's able to launch the codes once it logs itself into this thing.
Which is basically the length of time of a blink of an eye.
Right. And so we go through this whole thing earlier on where Grace ends up saving Ethan at a spy party while they're trying to find Gabriel.
Right.
It's at the beginning before they go in the catacombs.
Right.
And Grace goes by and pickpockets not only the radios but the guns of two security guys.
Yeah. And she shows off how quick she is and deft she
Tom's
is.
Ethan's all like, I didn't even see you get the second one. And then there's that whole line about, it's all about timing. There's the damn time thing again.
He was just focused on her boobs.
Honestly, she'd be a great pickpocket because of that. Nobody would ever notice.
Right. They'd just be focused on that.
Right. So anyway, but it's all dependent on Grace with her really fast hands to be able to get this thing pulled out so the entity doesn't know it's captured.
Right. So Ethan assigns Grace to be the one to deftly time it so that the moment Ethan connects
there's a signal that the pill or the poison pill, once it's attached to the device from the Sevastopol,
yes,
it will send a signal that's on a router that they've got inside this thing to let them know that it's connected, which in some way causes the entity to be able to leave. Come on, man.
I know. Well, there's this whole part too where Benji is orchestrating that part where Grace has to cut some wire and then
what happens when they get into the Doomsday server room thingy, there's another gigantic nuke. Why are there so many nukes? How do people have the ability to build so many nukes? And they're there with
there's even nukes on that submarine, aren't there? The submarine that
okay, that's a whole other thing that we need to talk about. Why is there it's an Ohio-class submarine that is a missile submarine. I know they've converted some Ohio classes into a cruise missile thing that also delivers SEALs. I don't know if the Ohio is one of them, so technically this is possible.
Okay.
But yes, there are launch tubes. They're just not all nuclear anymore.
Okay.
They got cruise missiles.
Okay.
Cruise missiles? Hey. Are they Tom Cruise missiles? But anyway,
this is the best episode ever.
I don't know. We're flying by the seat of our pants here.
We
Not
are.
unlike Tom Cruise later on in the movie.
So much so.
But anyway, so this is it. So they're in there. There's a bomb. Don Lowe's still there with his wife. Now he's part of the IMF team.
Apparently.
I don't know. But he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of the bomb. You guys go save the world. And then Dagon's like, I'll stick around because I'm worthless, which was a great thing. He literally says, I'm useless, so okay, I'm going to stay here and be an extra set of hands, I guess.
Right.
But Benji got shot. And
We're so ahead of ourselves.
I know, it
but
doesn't
it's
matter.
fine.
We're going to keep circling back. They're not going to even know when this shit's going to happen in the movie the way we're going. But anyway, they get Gabriel. Gabriel's like, aha, I caught you all. But I think Tom was like, no, I knew you were going to do this shit. We're trying to get you to run away. Right. But then in comes Kittredge and Phelps
and becomes
Jr.
his own worst enemy.
Right. And ruins his whole thing. Benji gets shot. Benji's got a punctured lung. And he can't do all the whiffy, wiry stuff that he does. So Grace has to do it all while he talks it through her. After Palm Clemente sticks a knife in his chest.
And moves, what was it? Moves his collarbone down or something?
I can't remember the technical term. I know what it is. But because air was leaking into his chest, so his chest was expanding and he couldn't breathe. So the hole and the little metal tube from the pen
was to get all that air
out of him so that he could actually continue to function. But she had to count. He said, count down from the clavicle to the second rib. You need to slide it in between there. This is Palm Clemente's finest acting in this thing over.
Absolutely.
She's emoting everything with her face.
Yeah.
She's doing a fabulous job. But anyway, Benji can't do all the wire work, so guess who gets to do it? Grace.
Yes.
And she's in there like, I'm fully competent at rewiring.
Yeah, now she can
all
patch
day long.
She can patch into stuff now.
I got the power switch off because I can read. That's it on and off. Okay. Even though it's in South Africa and it probably was in Afrikaans, but fine. Grace can't speak French, but apparently she can read Afrikaans, which is fine. But anyway, so all of that stuff happens. Ethan goes chasing after.
So the funny thing is that we were talking like this was his plan. This was Ethan's plan, that he was talking to the president and everybody else. That's all of what he's describing that ends up playing out essentially.
Absolutely, because he doesn't need the entity to see the future. He's Tom Cruise.
Yes, but we do need to go back and talk about this situation where he gets on the submarine. So he goes from the aircraft carrier with Hannah Waddingham.
Yep, they throw him off at a couple of Ospreys.
Yeah, they send him off in the hovering planes or whatever. Ospreys. And he jumps into the water and they think he's crazy. But then the submarine guys are waiting for him.
Oh, yeah, they come up all stealth frogman-y. It's kind of cool.
Well, they pull him into that was a great moment, actually. They pull him into the...
After they taser him.
In the water?
Yeah, I'm like, it's salt water, too. That shit current's going to carry, I think.
So they bring him into the submarine and revive him, because he's all jacked up because it's freezing. And so they bring him in, and after we've already talked about sort of this whole decompression thing and how he didn't even realize he was going to get the suit. But then he finally goes into the Sevastopol submarine. He finds his way down there, and he navigates through the submarine to find they had
to go to the sonosphere, which was where the sonar was, I guess it's supposed to be. I don't know if that's a real thing or not. It seems kind of not. But we see it at the very beginning of Dead Reckoning. It's where the key goes in.
Yeah, it looks like Dr. Xavier's place where he puts his helmet on and
excuse me, it's Professor Xavier.
What did I say?
You said Dr. Xavier.
All right.
It's not Professor Strange, sir. So please get your terminology correct or do not place it on this podcast.
All right. Well, okay. So it's Professor, my apologies. So it looks like Professor Xavier.
Yeah, it looks like Cerebro.
Yeah. So that's the other part of this that we haven't even talked about is, meanwhile, in the Arctic, trying to get the coordinates to where the Sebastopol is.
Yes. Our team
meets up with
Donlow.
And like you said, Benji starts fanboying.
Right. and it's fun because there he is, right? And he gives the whole thing about, I'm happy and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But sorry, guys, because these asshole Russians over here.
It kind of was a very Empire Strikes Back moment when Lando is like, they arrived just before you did, type of thing, and suddenly the Russians come in, and
we got the Russians in their snow gear, and
it's interesting. This is another one of those things where magically they had been expecting him, basically, because now they want Benji to help build a floppy disk drive.
I think I think they intended for Donlow to build the floppy disk drive, not Benji.
But they just decided, well, we've got two hands now. this should go faster, so start building a disk drive.
It's just a way to get them separated so he could tell them his little bit of exposition about not having it on floppy disks.
But that he basically knew it by memory.
Committed it to memory because he thought it might be important.
Maybe.
And then does like a cool-ass spy brush pass thing with his watch and his wife.
Oh, yeah, because he's like, can you go feed the dogs? And he gives him the... And then, of course, Grace picks...
I'll help.
Yeah, I'll help. So Grace decides to follow her, and then that's when she goes out in a dog sled with the decompression chamber.
Well, don't forget, now they go out to the dog pen to go feed it, and they've got one Spetsnaz guy there following her, and Donlo's wife just clocks him over the head with a shovel, but he's wearing a helmet, so then they have to get into this whole brouhaha. Gunfire ensues. That gets Palm Clementif grabs one of the other guys, starts shooting, and he's shooting, and she's aiming him as she's flipping him around.
Right. Well, and Palm was just itching to shake everything up.
She wanted to take all those dudes in the white outfits out for sure.
Right.
But in that battle over there, Russian soldiers get killed. The fire starts. Donlo has to go up to the radio equipment to send out the coordinates because, of course, the submarine captain has reached his last time. If we don't get him this time, we're leaving, kind of thing. Stakes are being raised constantly in this damn movie. And
this is also the part where I went to the bathroom. So
this is true. So this is why I'm taking the lead on this one. Because it's a long movie, people. Don't drink a lot or you're going to miss stuff.
You're going to miss that stuff because this is where I had to duck out for a hot second and then come back.
That's right. So Donald's up there doing Morse code with the number while flames are... I thought he was going to die.
And this is the part where you have to explain to me what started the fight that Tom Cruise was in on the submarine.
So this is actually in my notes. So part of the using the special suit that he has is you have to acclimate yourself to certain elements that they're adding to the air mixture.
Sure.
So he's on a treadmill running with this air mixture pumping into him. And it turns out that one of the SEAL guys is one of those Children of the Atom people that is trying to help the entity.
Oh, he's one of the cult people.
And they end up getting into a fisticuffs.
Okay.
And then Kodiak, I think you said the character's name was, Katie O'Brien.
She comes in.
She clocks him over the head with a fire extinguisher, thus saving Tom Cruise. But that's how that started. And it made me, I was laughing because only Tom Cruise could find a way to run on a submarine.
Yeah.
And he sure as shit did.
Well, they were getting towards the final cut of this movie, and they're like...
The final reckoning of this movie?
They're getting towards the final reckoning of this movie, and they're like, you know what? We need more running right here.
Tom has not run in literally 40 minutes.
We need to shoehorn in. Put him on a treadmill and plug a bunch of tubes into him. And
and he had like these little tighty-whitey Roy Batty from Blade Runner kind of black boxer shorts on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you had him in a Bacta tank, he'd literally look like he was just floating around in a Bacta tank from Empire Strikes Back. So, yeah. But anyway, so there's that fight. And during that fight, it's cutting back to the fight in Donlo's house, which is on fire.
Right.
And Benji's fighting the main Russian guy, and they get underneath a bookshelf.
And he gets knocked out.
And everybody dies.
All the bad guys die.
All the bad guys. Well, you assume they do because they don't really show you that they do.
No.
Because we're out back at the thing with Grace, and then we cut to them being on Grace and Donlo's wife running with the sled dogs to go to where they need to go with those locations.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom and diving and things.
I know. This movie's nuts. So is this review. But it's fine because anybody who's just seen this movie will understand why.
Correct.
We're just going to circle around and back and around again.
If you listen to this podcast right after you watch it, you're going to go, oh yeah, just like we're doing right now.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
that is literally the best way to listen to this podcast.
I think right after you've watched the movie for sure.
Exactly.
Because we're definitely doing it by memory, except for the brush passes. We're definitely doing it by memory all the time.
Yes. Now we'll fast forward back up. Now they've disabled the bomb that's right outside the Doomsday shelter.
Well, Donlo realizes that if he does some particular wire snipping in the particular direction, he can
delay the
explosion for 10 seconds. Now, there's a distance between where the bomb is and where the Doomsday Bunker is. But if they get into the Doomsday Bunker before it blows up, they'll be safe.
Right.
But, Donlow's not a spring chicken.
No, he's not.
And the wife looks a little younger, but, definitely not,
I mean, Diggle make it.
Oh, he was absolutely going to make that.
Yeah.
He could probably even make it carrying one of them.
Right?
But not two of them.
Not two.
Not two of them. And so we're waiting for this to happen. Ethan's gone after Gabriel. Kittredge and Phelps Jr. have flown the coop effectively.
Because I think, aren't they chasing after Ethan at this point?
They are. And then some other people in a random Jeep show up and run him off the road because they're driving. It's like the scene from Thor when they're driving under the shield installation and all their Jeeps and Acuras and things are getting knocked over and run over.
That is a strange car chase in
actually
there.
Not Thor. That's actually from the first Avengers. So, sorry. I'll have to give myself my own little note. So they end up going... I'm only saying this so that we don't have to circle back to this later.
Yes.
Kittredge and Phelps Jr. get out.
Yes.
Around the same time, Tom and Gabriel get out. So the only people that are still inside there are our IMF team...
Yes.
And Donlow and the bomb, and that's that. Yeah, we're rounding the horn on this here.
That's right, because now this is another thing that took me out of. There's a couple major things that took me out of this movie occasionally.
All right,
and I know that you said that when we were at the theater, you told me the whole final third of the movie took.
Yeah, it's just one whatever after another.
Right. So the first whatever I had was Ethan's trying to follow Gabriel out of this place.
Yep.
But he gets in that big car chase with the other guys that are trying to stop him.
Yep.
And he has to purposefully crash his Jeep in order to get rid of these other guys that are on his butt.
Exactly.
So then he has to go on foot and try and chase.
So there's some more running.
Gabriel. So there's more running. But the thing is that Gabriel's in a working car. So how on earth does he catch up to Gabriel as Gabriel is in his airplane about ready to take off?
But that's the thing. He got to wherever the airplane was at, had to start the airplane up, had to tell his buddy, even though it's a two-seater, here's your airplane, buddy.
Okay.
There's a random buddy, by the way, that has no explanation of who this guy is.
And doesn't speak a word.
No, he doesn't at all. His job is to fly the other plane so that Tom can have his air.
And to keep his finger on the button so that
That's true.
So that the countdown doesn't start on that bomb.
That's true. That's literally his only job. He is a living, breathing, walking expositional point.
Yeah.
Without him, Tom can't do his aerial acrobatic bullshit.
Well, and then Kittredge can't ruin everything by starting the bomb.
That's correct. So that's true too. Wow. So many things. So many things.
What we're trying to say is this movie is very complicated.
You know what? It's not when you're watching it.
It's when you're trying to piece it all together.
Crammed into it that you're trying to tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
I literally feel like a 7-year-old trying to explain like fucking Star Wars to some of his friends. And then there's this guy and he's a black guy and he's got a laser sword. Is he a black guy or is he a guy who's in black? No, he's got armor. But it's that one guy, that black guy who talks. So maybe it's James Earl Jones in there too. I don't know. But and then there's a blue robot. He's all beep boop 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 boop. And then there's this kid and this girl and so this is what I feel like. I feel like a little kid trying to explain Star Wars to somebody, except I'm a big kid trying to explain Mission Impossible to everybody.
The world's most complicated movie ever.
No doubt.
So I digress. Ethan manages to catch up because apparently there needed some time to get to the airplanes and get in the airplanes and start taking off. So as Gabriel's trying to take off in this biplane, which of course it's a biplane because A,
analog.
Looks good on camera, and B, is analog, so the entity can't track him. So Ethan tries to hop on that plane, can't catch it, and then we get the whatever moment number 2 for me, which is right behind him, right behind Gabriel, is his buddy that doesn't speak a word in a red biplane, and Ethan lays down Indiana Jones style.
Yep, grabs the spur for the wheels.
Grabs the axle or whatever it is of the wheels, and holds on for dear life as that plane takes off in the most impossible no pun intended.
I see what you did there.
But it's not even physically possible.
He should have been chopped up by that blade.
Absolutely. That plane was going way too fast for him to be able to grab onto. But anyway, I digress. It's just, at that point, it's truly a whatever moment where you just have to go along with it, because if you don't...
It gets worse, so you might as well just buy in now.
Right, exactly. So then he's on the underside of this red plane, this red biplane.
And did you notice that it's a red biplane and a yellow biplane? So I kind of felt like we got the Red Baron chasing Snoopy at this point.
And I must admit, this chase scene, or I don't even know what you'd call it, a dogfight scene, an aerial stunt show, the Tom Cruise aerial stunt show.
That's it.
It's done really well.
It absolutely is. And then the surrounding landscape
is gorgeous.
Oh, my God.
And I mean... And there's funny little moments. I thought it was so funny, like when he pops his head out one side and then he pops his head out the other, and I'm sure that was on purpose. Like, it's all just kind of funny the way that they choreograph actually probably more the edit than anything else. The way they cut it together just is comedic in nature to a large degree.
Yes.
And of course, too, this is the perfect way to cross-cut, is to have this long, drawn-out dogfight type situation going on where Ethan has to take over the red plane in order to try and get at
Gabriel in the yellow plane.
Gabriel in the yellow plane, although what ultimately happens is that Gabriel is now suddenly chasing him, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, I thought it should have been more that, I don't know why it was that Gabriel eventually was chasing Ethan in a plane.
He was trying to...
Was he just trying to knock him out of the sky?
Yeah, he was using his propeller to chew things up. You remember?
Right.
Sean? They got us.
But it was a perfect vehicle to, like, cross-cut between Ethan's shenanigans and doing all this high-flying, amazing stunt work, which is amazing. And you're just watching the whole thing going, that's a 62-year-old man that's doing all these things.
It's true. But you're intercutting with Grace doing her stuff, Benji nearly dying, Dunlow taking out the bomb.
Again, there's no time to breathe in this movie.
At all.
It is just, you're just tired. You're just... At the end of this movie, you're just like exhausted because it never lets up.
By the time we got to the airplane scene, I wanted the movie to be over. I was oh God. It was like listening to children talk for 2 hours about whatever it is that children talk about. And you've done your, okay, that's great. Oh, wow. Nice to hear, bud. You know?
Right.
And you're just like, all right, everybody just shh. Uncle Jason needs some quiet time now.
So yes, we get this long drawn out dogfight, and eventually Ethan Hunt, being Ethan Hunt, manages to get underneath. See, that's another thing that they don't explain, is somehow Ethan gets underneath Gabriel's plane.
Well, he's in an airplane. It goes up and down.
I know, but Gabriel didn't seem to see him underneath
because he came in on his 6 and then came underneath him on his other 6.
Okay, all right.
Come on, man. This is Airplane 101.
All right, well, if it's as simple as that, it's as simple as that.
You gotta think three-dimensionally.
Okay, well, he gets underneath Gabriel's plane, and Gabriel, just for whatever reason, didn't see him. Ha-ha! And Ethan Hunt, being Ethan Hunt, is able to fly this plane with 1 foot, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. He's controlling the stick with his shoe.
With his shoe, basically. That's it. And then from there, he manages to jump up and grab the underside of Gabriel's plane just as his plane falls apart, basically. And then the big fight ensues, and Gabriel laughs like a maniacal Bond villain and takes him through loops, trying to shake him off the plane. But that's when Ethan gets smart to it, and he starts manipulating the actual rods that change the
ailerons on the wings,
right?
So that he can't keep banking and stuff like that,
right? So then the real fight ensues at that point, where half knocks Gabriel out of the thing. Maybe the best part of this whole fight is the very end.
Yes.
When Gabriel has now been knocked out and
he's hanging on to the plane for his dear life.
Yeah, he's hanging on for his dear life, but you can see that he's got a parachute on.
Right.
So he thinks that it doesn't matter, that he can just parachute out and ha ha ha, and so on and so forth.
I do have to point out, this is important for what Ben's just about to say. At this time, they are flying inverted but Goose isn't there to take a picture. Okay, please continue.
Yes. So
he's hanging on for dear life, but he's like, I don't care. I'll live to fight another day.
Right. Until he decides to let go, and his head goes right into the fin.
Oh, no. First his balls.
First his...
then his head.
Then his head. And his head is like split in half, essentially.
Pretty much.
And that is the end of Gabriel.
Yeah.
And
sadly, the plane...
Yeah, because the plane is basically about ready to conk out. Well, it does die for a second.
Yeah, and then it catches on fire. Then Tom finds a conveniently placed parachute in the front seat.
Yeah, that's another whatever moment there.
Yep.
But to their credit, not to be outdone, they're going to keep driving those stakes higher and higher because, he's about ready to put the poison pill into the doohickey. But he's like, wait a minute, I should jump out of this plane first.
Right.
So he jumps out of the plane and his first parachute is on fire.
Yes.
So...
But you don't know he has a backup parachute.
You don't. Well, no, because he throws the second parachute, but you never see it.
Yeah, it doesn't deploy.
It doesn't deploy immediately. And all you know is that, meanwhile, we cut back to Grace, so you don't know what's going to happen to old Ethan Hunt. And Grace is waiting, and suddenly the green light hits, which tells her that she can now cut the red wire that does something.
Also, in addition to both those other things, what we didn't say was that they are also cutting back to the bunker in West Virginia.
Yes.
Where the president has to decide. Everybody's now converted except for the United States. And she's being pressured to push the button, wipe out all these cities, wipe out an American city as sort of a tribute so that nobody else has any reprisals.
Right. As a concession to say, like, look, this is beyond my control. I'm just doing,
Yeah, I'm trying to save everybody on the planet, and I'm sacrificing my own people. They got her up there. She's got the missile coat. She breaks the biscuit. She goes the whole thing. And just before she pushes the button, Angela Bassett's all like, no.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this. We're not going to play this thing's game.
I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to do this.
I'm not going to be the one to do this. And
she said, I'm just going to shut my missiles down. Because Ethan had said, or somebody somewhere down the line had asked, why doesn't it just launch the missiles now? And I think it was Ethan who said when he was talking to him at the very beginning, it needs it to be complete so it can, before it will act, because that's the only way it can be sure it will be successful.
Right. Because it knows that that's the only way that
no one can retaliate.
No one can retaliate, and then it will survive.
Right. Even though literally one nuclear arsenal would do the job.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the computer's logical thinking says I can't move forward with my process until I can guarantee the outcome.
Exactly.
So she's like, no, we're just going to shut everything down. And so in the process of getting on there, this is the president. I want you to shut down the strategic thing, blah, blah.
That's when Nick Offerman
saves her life because one of her fucking Secret Service guys tries to shoot her. And Nick, who earlier on had gone to a Marine, because he's playing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at this point.
Yes.
Right. So he goes over and orders the gunnery sergeant that's guarding the area, give me your sidearms, son.
So you immediately think that Nick's going to be the bad guy.
Right, because he's been saying we need to drop the bombs now. And so it's a bait and switch.
Yeah.
But he ends up saving her, gets a bullet right through his ribbons.
Right.
Dies in the most Offerman-y way that he can die. I really wish I'd kept my mustache. Ugh, but
I feel like the mustache would have played too. Is that
I feel like he could have trimmed it down military style and he would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I'm going for clean cut army guy. That's what he was going for, I'm sure. But the problem is in this whole kerfuffle, she doesn't get everything shut down before the entity gets into the U.S. and takes over their missiles. So now there's no other option but Ethan to save the day with his flaming parachute while he's trying to put the stupid black pill into the stupid cell phone thingy.
Which seemed like it was way too hard.
Are you kidding? I don't know if you've ever jumped out of an airplane before, but there's a lot of speed you're going. It would have been better staying in the plane to do it.
That's okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. I felt like maybe it was one of those things where when they were shooting it, he wanted to make sure that they got the shot. So he kept, acting as if it was taking a while to get this thing in there.
Sure. I mean, he legitimately would have had to take a minute to get it in there because he had no parachute at that point.
Right. So he's just free falling all over the place.
He's going to hit terminal velocity eventually.
Being tussled around and
right. But I'm like, why didn't you put it in the plane? No, it was on fire, but
right.
Just a bloop, and then you could have bailed out. But
yeah.
no, he didn't, because obviously it would have been as dramatic that way.
Yes. But I digress.
But anyway, he gets it in. Light turns green.
The light turns green,
Trap's
and so
clean.
She cuts the red wire, and then immediately whoosh,
as soon as it lights up,
pulls up the nightlight.
Power goes down across the world for no apparent reason.
Yeah, that's just for dramatic effect,
right? And then everything kind of pops back up again.
Yeah,
and we realize the world is safe because Ethan Hunt is the bomb.
The bomb skis.
And then we see a heather, a glen, just this grassy field.
Yes.
And then we see this billowing parachute kind of rise over the hill.
To hint that he's survived and that his backup chute finally deployed.
Right. And he's laying there, and there's the melded, mushy, burned Popska pill thing together.
Yes.
With Luther's final message.
Because
he built a little speaker into it, apparently, because he's Luther. And it's like, you're the greatest one in the world, Ethan, and you can always be guaranteed to do the job that you need to do. And I'm proud you're my friend, brother.
I love you, man.
I love you, man. We have the meats.
To be truthful, when I was watching that part, I was like...
I was too. Don't get me wrong.
I love you, Luther.
I'm making fun of it now. But it was a nice way to finish. Kittredge and Shea Wiggum show up in a bunch of army helicopters, even though they're in South Africa.
Right.
He hands the burned up thing to Kittredge.
He's like, you can have it, I guess. Because I know Luther's little thing, destroyed it. It's
sorry.
toast. Yeah.
Sorry. And Kittredge's like, I'm very disappointed in you, Dick. And off he goes. And then he has the whole thing with Wiggum's Phelps character.
Yes.
And pulls the gun on him, but then he puts it in his other hand and they shake it. And you look like they're going to bro hug.
But instead,
he's just sort of and fading around. Tom walks alone, buddy.
Yeah. And that's, it's not totally the end, because then we get this last little thing to basically let us know that Benji's okay.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. Everybody shows up in London at the same place they met at the beginning of the movie in London.
Yes.
And they show up one by one. There's Paris with her newly styled, shorter haircut.
She looked fantastic.
She
I just have to say.
And then Grace shows up. Did Degas show up too?
Yeah, Dega was there.
We didn't see Don Lowe and his wife, but they do live, by the way. They come in after everything's done, and they're all dusty, but they managed to get in before the bomb blew up. So they rest easy. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, everybody's fine.
Then Benji shows up, and no more pen thing inside him.
Yeah, apparently he survived, which I did not expect.
I really thought he was going to die too.
I absolutely thought there was going to be some sort of sad, calm, morose moment about losing Benji at the end.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he just pops up like a bad penny. He's right there.
I think that Simon Pegg is open to doing it again.
Of course.
I feel like maybe Ving Rhames is done.
Yeah, he's been wanting to be done for a while.
I will come back, but only if I get to die. Like Harrison Ford got to die in that abomination of episode 7. But yeah, they all show up. They all do the winky face, smiley.
Yeah.
And then they go their separate ways until the next mission needs to bring them back together.
Exactly. And cue the music.
Dun, 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 dun,
And that is our worst estimation of how this movie went down.
Absolutely.
But I will say, as far as this movie versus Dead Reckoning, I know you may feel differently. I actually think I enjoyed this one more, and I think it's just because of the emotional gravity of it. I feel like this movie affected me more than Dead Reckoning did. And the other part of it too is it benefits from the fact that it is cut closer to the way that Dead Reckoning was cut. And when Dead Reckoning first came out, it really jarred me the way that they framed shots, the way that they cut it, because it was drastically different from Fallout. And so I had a really hard time going from Fallout's style to Dead Reckoning. But since I had already been introduced to Dead Reckoning when Final Reckoning came, I was like, okay, and I felt like McQuarrie had improved on the formula, as you had sort of said at the beginning of this review.
Yeah.
He had sort of found a better way to put all those pieces together. But yeah, like even though as convoluted, as crazy complicated as this movie was, the emotional gravity of it held me together enough to I think I enjoyed this movie maybe more than Dead Reckoning. I don't know. You know what it is? It's because I just watched it. And it may be one of those things where after repeated watchings, I may have a different opinion. Because I'm in that afterglow. Because I'm always, every time I see a movie, it happened to me with Spectre. When I saw Spectre, when I first came out of the movie theater, I loved Spectre. Now I can barely stand that movie. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Whereas, like, for instance, after I saw Dead Reckoning, I wasn't sure if I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
But then upon repeated viewings, I was like, oh no, I like this movie.
I will tell you from my standpoint, Dead Reckoning is much better than this one. It's because this one it's the thing I don't like about cramming stunts into a narrative to make the things what they are.
Yeah.
It's all set pieces. And there was so little meat to this thing that you had to shoehorn emotion in it for it to not just be a video game the whole way through.
That's true. And I will say, too, I feel like Tom Cruise really doesn't talk very much in this movie. You know what I mean? And normally, he's the guy that's like, sort of explaining the whole movie. That doesn't happen in this movie. Other people are explaining what's going on in this movie because all he does is the action and the stunts and the hero shit.
I bet you if you do a cast list, there's more people in this movie than there have ever been in any other Mission Impossible movie from a casting standpoint that had dialogue and purpose inside the film.
It's because Tom Cruise isn't there to explain anything.
Correct. He was off all doing second unit stuff, riding airplanes.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And to be honest, I don't know how they did the sub stuff. They must have filmed them in some sort of water tank.
Right. There was all sorts of stuff on social media, but I avoided it all because I didn't want to get
I have as well.
I didn't want to get spoiled by any of it.
But at the end of the day, this one sort of felt like the opposite of episode 1, where like 60% of the movie was in Revenge of the Sith. So it's actually the only good one because there's a story to tell. But you needed these other two to make another trilogy and get people interested.
Okay.
But this is the opposite. Okay. So Dead Reckoning was the Revenge of the Sith that had the meat of everything.
Yes.
And this was like the very extended payoff to going through that one.
That's fair.
Because they didn't start off making this a 1-2 punch, right? It was originally intended to be 2 separate movies.
No. It was originally intended to be a part 1 and part 2. And then they got, because remember, we were making fun of the fact that it was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning part 1.
Part 1, part 2.
And then they cut out the part 1.
That's right. And went to another title.
Yes.
Okay. Now I do remember.
So yeah,
that
it was supposed to be.
I remember there might have been a Harry Potter joke in there as well. So okay. But, I mean, I don't know. If it had been 40 minutes shorter, I probably could have took it as a bookend to this particular story.
I just think the run-up, to after he turns himself in, all the stuff that it takes from the very beginning, from the pre-title, all the way up until he turns himself in and starts explaining what his plan is,
right?
That is so convoluted and fast.
Yes.
That does this movie a huge disservice.
Yes. Yeah, because I think the whole point was just to bring in people who never watched the franchise before.
Yeah.
So that they would be, I'll never go see that. I've never watched one of them before.
Well, and ironically enough, now we're allegedly at the end, and we might not get another Mission Impossible.
Everybody's still alive except for Luther.
Right, but the thing is like, who knows? If they're trying to bring in people, if they're trying to bring in more people and tell people what Mission Impossible is about, I mean, maybe it's just trying to drive them to the older ones. I don't know. Because I get this very strong vibe that we're not going to get another Mission Impossible movie for a very long time.
Could be.
Unless this one does redonkulously well.
Which it won't. Like I said, it's going to do well enough to recoup its budget and make some money for Paramount.
And that's about it.
I don't think it's not $1 billion territory. it'll do well out in the foreign markets, but out here, people have got Ethan Hunt fatigue, I think.
We'll see.
I do, that's for sure. But anyway, before I forget, as I'm summing up my thing of this,
yes,
as promised, I'm going to explain to you how all of this could have been solved without going through an entire movie. So first of all, you shoot Gabriel in the kneecap.
Right.
He can't run away. Movie's over.
Right.
Boom. But
more importantly,
if you really wanted to solve this, you could have done it in Dead Reckoning, because if anybody here has ever watched Lord of the Rings, all Ethan had to do was take his 2 halves of the key to Mount Kilauea in Hawaii and drop them in the damn volcano. Boom. We're done.
Now, here's the problem with that, though. Didn't those Russian guys at the Arctic station have their own key?
They had their own key, but they didn't have Luther to build them anything to fix it. Sure. Although I guess now with the end result that we've got going here, the entity simply would have ruled the world anyway.
Yes.
But I feel like we could have avoided this whole movie just by melting the key and never knowing what actually happened in Final Reckoning.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I will say this. It was enjoyable. It was a very enjoyable movie.
It absolutely was.
I can't recommend. And you know, I used to actually, it's funny because I was literally telling you this as we were on our way there, or maybe this morning before we went to the movie. I said, I always get a little bit annoyed when people say, go see it on the biggest screen possible. And yet, when we went to an IMAX screening of this movie, and motherfucker, did that thing look good.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm kind of like, yeah, go see it on the biggest screen you can.
And if you're going to an IMAX, make sure it's an IMAX with a laser.
With a laser.
Because
it was something else to watch on that screen.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie to watch as far as the way it was shot. There was enough of like beauty, because there's a couple of spy movies I can think of that aren't maybe my favorite from a plot storyline standpoint, but they're so pretty that I will always go back to them. Skyfall is one of those.
Oh, absolutely.
Skyfall, not my favorite story. I kind of hate the Home Alone thing when you get when you get to Bond's parents' old house or whatever.
Right.
Hate that, but my God, that movie is shot so well. It's such a beautiful. It's.
Oh yeah.
Just this whole Shanghai sequence is just gorgeous. Same thing with this movie. I'm sure I'm going to go back and watch this, and I'm going to find even more whatever moments that I'm just going to be rolling my eyes as far as what happened in the actual story. But it's such a beautifully shot, like it looks great, it sounds great. There's some actors that look really good in this movie that aren't difficult to look at.
No.
Probably for both sexes, I would say.
I will say this, if I ever have to be in a hyperbaric chamber, I sure hope Haley Atwell's in there.
Indeed. But yeah, go see this movie. It is fantastic. I'm sure at some point down the line, we will dissect this in a much more organized manner. But
I don't know. I feel like we've covered it pretty good here.
I think we did a pretty good job, given the fact that we've literally only seen this movie once and how complicated this damn ass movie is. But you know what? As always, once you go see this movie, or if you've already seen this movie and then you listen to our ridiculous review of this movie, please get in touch. Let us know what you thought of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, because we want to know about that. If there's one thing we're always bothering you guys about, is that we want listener interaction.
And feel free to tell us if we've made any mistakes in this review.
Because I'm sure we have.
I know we have.
Probably a lot of mistakes.
And if you want to call us out with correct things on it, we don't have a problem with that at all.
If I mispronounce something, please, Chris, anyone else really, let me know. But there are tons of ways to get a hold of us. Most importantly, on email, it's cicdeaddrop@gmail.com. On Instagram, it's Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores. Or on X, it's @CIC Spy Pod. And there's a whole slew of other socials that we are on, and you can find links to all of them at the bottom of the show description of every episode that we do. But Jason, thank you for flying out here to the new undisclosed location.
It was certainly my pleasure.
It means a lot, and yeah, makes me very happy. So
well, good. I'm glad it makes you happy. Makes me happy too.
Yes. But are we out of here?
I think so.
All right. Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will, in fact, return with more missions, more martinis,
and more mayhem.